Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Ocarina of Time Let's Play. So, you destroy these old children, and sometimes a bigger one will come out, but that doesn't happen very often, apparently. I was trying at night for ages to get one to come out, but it wouldn't, so I can't show you it. If you go on the path, they disappear, but that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about, actually. Another thing is the cuts. I cut out most of the night because there's no point in showing that off to you. So yeah, if you go on the other side you can also get rupees, but I didn't really need them. I didn't see the point in showing them off. So yeah, I've cut out a couple of bits that were a bit pointless for you to watch. Didn't really do anything, but mostly versus the original footage. And this is going to be a long episode because I wanted it to be a uniform 20 minutes. I tend to think that's enough for you not to get bored, but still to give you plenty of stuff to watch. But there's just so much dialogue and backstory in this episode that I really had to make this a long one to keep everything in. So anyway, yeah, as I was gonna say, I've decided that I've been focusing way too much on just telling you what to do. And I thought, well, you know, this is going to be a bit dry for anyone who's actually played the game, and people can see what I'm doing. So unless it's something where you actually can't see what I'm doing, I think you actually need more direction than just watch me, I'm going to concentrate more on just talking about the game and gaming in general and my opinions and myself, I guess, to a certain extent, and not focusing so much on just giving you advice. I thought that would be a bit less boring for you. Very crowded. Well, not exactly crowded, but it's full of life, I think. It's how like real market, I suppose. There's people. I quite like Malon. No, you know, I'm in love with a computer game character kind of way. But you know, if I was Link and I had to choose between her and Zelda, who you get to meet later, and some of the other female characters in this, I just kind of like Malon. I think she's cool. Unfortunately, we got interrupted by him again. I don't know why he's awake. It's daytime. But the thing he does with turning his head upside down, that's quite cool. A friend of mine actually has pet owls, and the only interesting thing I have to say about that though is apparently they're not wise at all. They're quite sort of mentally dozy creatures, apparently. So I think this wiseness that they're supposed to have, and this sort of nobility that something like horse or dog is supposed to have, is just a very sort of Western society kind of thing, a very sort of British and American kind of thing, where we sort of yearn, I think, for our past, where we used to be a farming kind of community, an outdoors kind of country, and now we don't do that anymore. In order to make her appear, you need to go out twice. So basically you come in here, then you go out again, then you come in and she's appeared. I will be showing it off later. She does something different at night. She sings, but I'll show that off in another episode. Anyway, yeah, I think we want to have a return to that past, and so we've kind of romanticised this and romanticised some animals and other animals like cows and sheep, which to be fair don't seem to be the most intelligent animals. We sort of go, alright, we'll eat them, there's no nobility in them, they're just kind of stupid things. Or we'll look at some kinds of birds like blackbirds and we'll say, oh, those things are evil. They're not, they're animals. How are they evil exactly? But we'll give these human attributes to these animals. It's bizarre. So whenever you want to know what time it is for how long it'll be till night or day, you hit one of those rocks with your sword and it will tell you. It's a rather strange sentence. Hit that rock with your sword, it will tell you what time it is. How many playing this game could you come up with that sentence? So you have to avoid the guards here, you have to stop them from looking at you. Now fortunately they're not too good at their job. They don't look behind them very often, and they've got a limited sort of sphere of sight, much more limited than guards would have in real life. So if you're, say, within 10 feet of them, they won't spot you. They will spot you, but if you're outside 10 feet, they won't spot you, even if you're standing straight in front of them. So, as you see, they didn't go, why is that guy walking up that hill? I'm just going to show off the dive. Yeah. So, yeah, that's diving. And very often these ideas we have about animals are not actually true. Like with the owls. This sort of reminds me of the Pokemon games, and you don't have to wait for about 20 hours for your egg to hatch. Presumably these have milk in them, although that's obviously a bull on there and not a cow. Anyway, apart from waiting for the chicken, there were guards in there, which are unavoidable at night, so you have to go in during the day. You'll see what I mean about going in the castle in a minute. There's something very Mario-like about him. This thing is quite amusing, although you can't see straight through the floor there. This is a bit weird. Hello Ninentdo graphics for you. I suppose this is one of the reasons why I've only given sort of instructions to you so far. It actually gives me something to talk about. But I'll be honest with you, it's dragging me down a bit. the fact that a lot of people haven't watched this. I know I complained about this before, but yes, it seems to me like either the channel hasn't really gotten going yet, and there isn't enough word of mouth, or people just don't care that much. This bit is quite fun. If I'd played this as a kid, I think I would have found this little sort of cat and mouse game with the guards quite fun. Thought I was going to make it there. It seems to me that games are different if you play them as a kid to if you play them as an adult. You know, playing this as an adult, I'm concentrating on playing it, obviously, but part of my mind is sort of outside that and looking at it objectively and thinking, this bit is similar to the other game I played, or the other film that I played, and thinking, well, that really works, what they're doing now, but this bit here doesn't really work. If I had made the game, I wouldn't have done it like that, but that's a really good innovation there. I'm sort of thinking about the genre that the game is in, and my mind sort of objectively studying its qualities, I suppose. Whereas if you're a kid, you only react one of 4 ways to a game. This is boring, or this is too hard, or this is cool, or this is really hard, but really cool. I don't know why I decided to go along there, because I knew he was going to catch me, and he did. So let's just sort of skip ahead here. There we go, you can walk along that sort of walkway thing above him, that kind of wooden platform above him, but you need to not fall off or you will get caught, and I really can't be bothered. The best way is to just run behind these guys. This is also, well, it's not the most beautiful music in the game, but it suits the atmosphere. That was quite risky there. I never really sort of played games when I was a kid. Well, I probably played my first one at 9 or 10. I think I played Lemons to the Tribes. This is a very good game. Perhaps someday I'll do an LP of it. I don't know. Don't know if that would work. But I didn't really get a console until I was 14. I mostly really got into gaming in my 20s. You can see pictures of Mario characters up there. Anyway, I didn't really get into them, so I can't tell you a lot of nostalgia stuff about this game. This particular game I first played when I was in my early to mid 20s. I think it had already come out several years before that. So, I can tell you one story about it, which is more sort of fanfic story, but here's my anecdote. So, later on Link gets turned into an adult, right? And a lot of people have done fanfics about this moment during the game. And one of the fanfics, I remember, one of the fanfics, Link is sort of studying what he's like as an adult, having been a child for all this time when he was in the forest without a fairy. and he calls his equipment, shall we say, a sword. And this is definitely not an actual sword he's referring to here. And he thinks to himself about the fact that his sword is larger than it was when he was a kid. And I thought that was very funny. So that's my Legend of Zelda anecdote. Yeah, my mind can be a bit disturbing like that. I do tend to hide it. I sort of like the expressions on Zelda's face, but I think they're a bit weird. No offense to Nintendo, this was a long time ago when this game was made. But yeah, it's got that weird thing where it sort of rocks back and forth a little. All of the characters' bodies sort of move backwards and forwards slightly a little. Like there's a character you'll see later where the right hand sort of moves back and forth as the character's talking. I don't remember exactly why this is, but this isn't an a choice of aesthetics. This is just part of the way the character models were rendered whilst the game was being made, and you'll find this a lot with Nintendo games. Like, you'll find it with Resident Evil 2, for example, which sort of spoils the cutscenes a bit on Resident Evil 2, I think. Triforce has always reminded me of this game I used to have, where you have to sort of, where if I say fit shapes together, that sounds kind of stupid. It was this game where you had two poles coming out of this wooden platform, and you had a series of blocks, and each of the blocks was slightly smaller than the one on top. So they formed a sort of pyramid, and what you had to do is move each of the blocks from one of the poles to the other one, but you could not put a smaller block below a bigger one. And the Triforce sort of reminds me of those blocks. And also some of the things I say when I'm just allowed to run my mouth off like this. Gibberish. So I decided to get rid of the episode titles because I wanted to mention there was the Master Quest in the title of my videos, and there wasn't really a lot of room for me to write my very long and sometimes bizarre episode titles, so I just decided to stop that, at least for the course of this game. And as I've said, I like changing things around a lot and trying new things with the Let's Plays, and that's what I'm doing here. See, her expression's quite weird there, but I think it does convey the horror she's feeling a bit. There's so much seemingly endless backstory in the last couple of episodes. I promise we will actually be getting on and doing things. It's sort of frustrating actually, but we need to wait until the next episode before we really start to do any more side quests or continue the story beyond just hearing people talk. Which I assume you're okay with, because you've been hearing me talk. Maybe you could sell it on eBay. It doesn't really say anything interesting if you go back and talk to her again. See, that's a character. Hand is just doing that for some reason. It's interesting how my sort of fantasy books start out with a young man setting off on a big adventure. I think that's just kind of escapism. It's like that with science fiction too. They're always sort of stories about someone going out into a wider world and leaving their community behind. Which is okay. It's just as I got older, I think as people get older, you start to become more sort of interested in the community and less interested in going out and sort of escaping everyone else's rules. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's kind of not where I'm at in my life right now. It's just interesting that there aren't a lot of stories that explore that. So it doesn't really lead you, it's more sort of whites out. I assume Death Mountain is a volcano, though it never actually says that. But it does appear to have a ring of smoke. Of course, real volcanoes don't have a ring of smoke above them all the time, as far as I know. Maybe smoke being out of them occasionally. But I suppose this is the way they represent the fact that it's a volcano. And we're coming up to the end of this part now, so I'll say goodbye, and I will see you next episode. I'll let you just watch the last few seconds of this.